get them all set up for you. Okay. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is wash my hands real quick. Okay, now I have powdered sugar and cream cheese. This is the basic mixture that I'm going to be what I'm going to call my basic mixture. Okay, so this is what we're going to start with. I'm still looking down there at the comments, girls. Okay, what I have, plain old cream cheese, which is, and I've used all different kinds of brands, so it don't matter. I can use this one come from Walmart. So this is just, you know, just cream cheese, but let it set out and come to room temperature. You want softened, just room temperature cream cheese. Okay, we'll stop every few minutes and let me look at the questions to see if there's anything that I need to answer for you. But otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and get started with these. Okay, I'm going to use cream cheese and powdered sugar. This is my powdered sugar here. I buy mayonnaise by the gallon, and these, this is how it comes. And I save these jugs. These are the best jugs to store stuff in. So I've got powdered sugar in that jug there. And my cherries are on a cookie sheet. I have one jar. This is one jar of cherries. I buy them in the large jars from, what do I do with that jar? Oh, I get mine from Sam's usually. And they come in this. This is 74 ounces. It's a 4 pound of cherries. Okay, then you want to, like if I'm making cherries today, this morning I took these out of the jar and I put a paper towel on cookie sheet. On this cookie sheet here, I put a paper towel on there and I spread those cherries out, took the stems off. If you want to make them fancy and leave the stems on them, you can do that too. But I took the stems off and I put them on the paper towel. And I set them in my oven and just turn the light on in my oven. That helps to dry them out a little bit, helps keep them, makes it a little bit easier for you. Trying to find at Sam's, but they were out. You know, they'll come, you know, they're in and out with them. I buy a lot of stuff from Sam's. But, and then once or twice during the morning, while these have been setting out since this morning, oh, probably about 8 o'clock, I probably put them out about 8 o'clock this morning. And I've changed this paper towel after they was in there for an hour or so, and I let them get on the paper towel. Don't squeeze them. Don't, just do it naturally. Don't squeeze them. And some of them are in pieces, so that's not a big deal either. Then change this paper towel under them and let them dry again. Now you want them to be dried out, but you don't want to, you know, you don't want to squeeze them to where there's still going to be some juice in them. When you get them made, about 7 to 10 days, they will liquefy inside once you dip them in the chocolate and get them set out. So I'm going to show you now how to make the mixture. This is 8 ounces of cream cheese, and if you're a pie baker, then this is, you know, this is what I say we do when we make pies. If you're adding Crisco to biscuit dough, or you're making pie dough or something, and you have your, like your Crisco in there, I'm going to take a little bit of powdered sugar, just like so. And I'm going to take my fork and just work it in a little bit. I'm going to take that, work that powdered sugar in there a little bit. It'll take about approximately 2 pounds of powdered sugar to make this into a dough form. It'll be just like a cookie dough or something when we get it done. But I want to start it this way, just so it's got a little bit of texture to it when I pour it out to work with it. I'm going to start it this way. Red, green, silver, metallics. You can, yeah, Christmas section. You can get all kinds of stuff in the Walmart or in Hobby Lobby. Go to the Hobby Lobby section. Right now, Hobby Lobby, for some reason, all of their one brand of cake supplies, it's not Wilton, it's the other one they have, is all half price now all the time. So, but you can go in there, and I got the flavorings in there this week. I got dip spoons. I'll show y'all that as we go along. But you can also do that from Walmart. You can get them online. Sometimes I go online and buy things. Now I'm going to play with this a little bit until I get it about the consistency that I can dump it out on my table without it being completely sticking to me completely. So if you see, this is about a 1/2 cup scoop I've got, and I'm just going to keep adding that. This dough, like I said, we call this a basic mixture. When I learned to make candy in the 70s, the lady that I bought candy supplies from, this was what her mother done all kinds of recipes and made up all kinds of recipes for the candy stuff, and this was one that they gave me, and I've used it since. And you can make all kinds of different candies with this one mixture. I'm still adding that to that. Like I said, it's going to take about 1.5 to 2 pounds for you to get that mixed up good. But you're going to have to get it to the point in your bowl to where you can work it by hand. And I've got a big dough board, but I was using it out in my shop, so I didn't want to fool with cleaning it and fooling with it. So I'm just cleaning my counter here, and now I've got that pretty well mixed up there. See, I've got it mixed up enough to I think I can work it by hand. So now I'm going to put the sugar on my table, right on my counter. Okay. Just going to pour that out there on the counter, and I'm going to drop this dough in there. Usually, a jar of cherries is usually about 100 cherries in that jar. Now, my nose is itching. Okay. Now, I'm just taking my hands with the powdered sugar, and I'm going to keep working that in that powdered sugar. It'll pick all that sugar up as you go along. And I'm going to keep working that till it forms a dough just about like pie dough. I want it to get to where it doesn't stick to my hands. Just like making biscuits or homemade bread, you're just working with this dough. It tastes good like it is, but you can flavor this with any kind of flavoring. We make peppermint patties, we make cherry nut, make maple walnut, you can make lemon creams, orange creams, any kind of flavoring you want to put in this dough, you can do that. Now see, I want the dough to get to the point where where I can pick it up like this. See, it's still where I can't, it sticks to me. So I want to keep doing this until I can pick it up and roll it in a ball without it sticking to me. This dough is good when you buy your cream cheese for your candies. Be sure your cream cheese, right now this one I think was done for like February, was the date on my cream cheese. So be sure when you buy your cream cheese that you buy it for the date as far away as you can get it. Because if you make candies with it now, you still have those candies. There's nothing in it that's going to ruin. You'll still have those candies all the way through Christmas. And right now is a good time to make your cherries for Christmas because you want to store them a while and let them liquefy inside. You want to do that before you start boxing them. So usually I make my cherries first. Then I have to hide them from my family. So I put them in a can, a candy can or something, and I just put them away. Hide them somewhere to keep them out of them. Don't want to refrigerate them. You don't want them in the refrigerator. They won't liquefy if you put them in the middle. In the fridge. But now the cherries is the only ones that you want to liquefy inside. And that's done with the cherries. Some way or another, the process between the cherry juice and this causes it to liquefy. I don't know why that happens, but it happens. I need to get me a scraper, girls. And this is good. What you don't use, just put it in a bowl and put it in the refrigerator. If you don't make it all up at one time, You can keep this for a long time in the fridge. Now see, it's rolled up, but it's still sticky. So I'm just going to keep adding sugar here. Some of them you can put in, usually if I'm using this dough and I'm making different candies, I shape my candies different as I make them. If I'm making cherries, naturally they're going to be the rounded cherries. If I make another kind, rather than make them, and we're going to dip them in milk chocolate, I'll make them in a different shape. I might make them square or make them a little long or something, so that when you get in that box of candy, you don't have to pinch the bottom of them. You know what's in there. I've made so much candy in my lifetime. Nothing better. Yes, a bench scraper. Couldn't make it without it. Once you dry your cherries, how long can you store before using them? Sylvia, I've not ever done that. I dry them the same. I use them the same day I make them. If you're on, now see, when I make them, I'm going to make 100 at one time if I'm going to sit and make them. But if you only want to make 25 or 30, then only take 25 or 30 cherries out of your jar and then leave the rest of them in your jar. And that way you just take out as many as you want to make that day and make them. Now if you're making cherry nut, we'll use the cherries right out of the jar. You can take the regular cherries. I used to do them a lot of time at Easter. Make the cherry nut eggs. But if you want to make those, you use the cherries right out of the jar and you chop them. You put chopped cherries and nuts and stuff in this mixture, and then you form it and dip it. See, I'm almost to the point now where I can use it. And see, that's made a lot of, that's probably made 2-3 pounds. That feels like it's a couple of pounds or more of the dough that it's made. Okay, now I'm just going to take a little bit of it off that I'm going to use for cherries to start with. So I'm going to take a little bit of that off and just put the rest of this over to the side. And I'm going to put me out a little bit of powdered sugar over here, just to work with my hands on. So now I've got just a little bit of it. Okay. This is really good. Tastes just good by itself. So you can, you can eat it. I make peppermint patties with this. Now when I flavor it with the flavorings, I use these Lorraine. You can buy these at Hobby Lobby. I got these this week. Most drugstores sell these these are oil flavorings. So I bought lemon and orange and peppermint and maple, I think I bought this week. So we've got about 4 or 5 different kinds. So if you're going to make peppermint patties, you would flavor this with your peppermint oil. Now I'm going to put me out a piece of wax paper. Just going to lay out a piece of wax paper there. As I make the cherries, I'm going to lay them over on that wax paper. Put them in here. Okay. So I'm going to get me 4 or 5 cherries and lay them over here. And you want to be real careful now, not squeeze them, because they're still not, they're not dry. They're just not wet, soaking wet. So I'm going to pinch off a little bit of my mixture. Let me take a little bit of my mixture, just a little tiny ball of that. And I'm going to flatten it out in my hand. These are really the most time-consuming ones that you'll make. I'm going to flatten these out. How did I spell the name of the oils? Okay, it is called Lorraine, which is L-O-R-A-N-N, oils. And they come in these little tiny bottles. That's just a 0.125 ounces, so just 1/4 of an ounce. Get you a little thin piece of this. And then you're going to lay a cherry right in the middle of that. You're going to lay that cherry in there. Take your fingers and very light touch. Now, if you squeeze that cherry, all that juice is going to come out in there. You're going to take a very light touch and you're going to cover that cherry all the way around with that mixture. See? Then your extra that you got, the better you can get them, practice makes it so you're not getting a whole lot on there. You know, you're getting a good coating on there, but not real thick. And when you get them on there, just twirl this around in your hand, and that excess will kind of come up to the top. Now, I'm not squeezing it. I'm just barely going around it. Pinch that excess off, seal that top, and I got a perfectly covered cherry. See that? Little cherry just covered up. Now, you have to dip them the same day you make them, because after they sit there a while, I always roll them all. Then I go back right then and I dip them. Because after they sit a while, they will start to melt. If you leave, you know, you can't make them this morning and then go back and dip them in chocolate this evening. You got to do it all. Just continue to do it till you get it. Put it in the cherry. Take a little powdered sugar on your hands. When you start doing this, this seems hard to get that on there, but it's not. Just roll it in that very lightly. Roll it in my hand, very light touch. Make sure you've got it covered all the way around. Got the cherry covered all the way around. See that? That's all you want to do. Lay them over on your wax paper. Okay? We're going to make 10 or 12 of these, and then we're going to, okay. Oils is Lorraine Oils. Most drugstores, most pharmacies that you go into, you'll find those oils in the pharmacy. I wasn't sure that Hobby Lobby had them, and they didn't have a big selection. So you can, but they did have them, and they were two in a package. Okay. You'll get to where you can roll these in no time. I can roll 100 of these in about an hour. But I've probably rolled thousands of them, so you can imagine. They are the best things. You will have people, you know, you'll be amazed. I had a guy worked on, when the carpenter came and built my room, my paint room, he enclosed part of my front porch to build me a room, and it was close to the holidays, and I gave him a box of candy that year for Christmas. I gave him box candy. So the next year when it come, he does things for me quite often. Now next year when it came close to Christmas, he called me and he said, I wanted to see if you'll make me some chocolate covered cherries. He wanted to buy some. I said, no, I'll make you some. I said, but I won't charge you for them. But he loved them. Just maraschino cherries, cream cheese, and powdered sugar is the only thing you've got in these. Now, if you want, some people make them. I've made them, put them in molds. Used to make the molded cherries too. But those are made with fondant. I never did like that. You make your mix. You use a cherry mold, and you make your mix with fondant and cherry juice. Then you had to put the chocolate in the mold, for harden it, you know, let it get hard, and then go back and drop your cherry in there and pour that stuff over top of them. That was a pain in the butt. So I didn't like to do that. You are very welcome, Misty. I want to see all of you make them, and what you make when you get them made. When we have our last class, girls, we'll have a giveaway, and you'll get some goodies. We'll do at least this month 4, and then maybe we'll do 1 or 2 right on into December. See, some of them, according to the size of the cherry, that's how big. You know, some of them are going to be bigger than the others because this little tiny cherry. So some of them's going to get bigger as you go along. But you will learn. It's real easy for you to learn how to get that thin, and you know, not wrap it. The only thing it's going to do if you get it thicker, If you get it thicker around your cherry, it's just going to make your piece of candy bigger and make it a little more time to liquefy. There's all the difference. Ain't going to change your thing in no way. We put our wrapped cherries in the fridge for about an hour to let them set while working on something. Yeah, I've never done that, Becky. They will crust up as they sit here. By the time you get 100 rolled, if you're rolling 100 of them and you get them rolled, by the time you get the last of them rolled, the first ones are crusted. They'll sit here on the paper and they'll get kind of crusty on the outside. Then that's when they're ready to dip, and you will. I don't have never had to put them in the refrigerator because I don't have time to fool with that. You could, if you was in a hurry, you could put them in the refrigerator and let them harden just a little bit, just kind of crust up around the crust, and then dip them. But don't put them back in the refrigerator after you do them. You don't need to refrigerate them, and you don't want to because that'll stop your process. Okay, once you eat these, I never was a real cherry lover for cherries out of the box, but now I do love these. Some people like them covered in dark chocolate. One of my brothers always, when we made them, be sure you cover some with dark chocolate for me. So you can make them with milk chocolate or dark chocolate, either one. See, I've done 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've done 9 already. I'll finish these today. You know, I won't stand here and roll 100 cherries with you, but I will finish them all today, get them finished and then boxed, you know, put in a can and put away today, rather than if you done some today and didn't get all your cherries done, you could set your cherries in the refrigerator and then go back to them tomorrow, but you want to let them sit out then and come to room temperature. Just be sure you don't squeeze the cherries. Okay. You hide them after they're dipped. You just hide them to keep your family from eating them, because they're good when you first make them. So you don't want to hide them when you get them. When you get them all dipped, the chocolate on them and stuff, that's when you hide them. You put them in a candy can and put them in storage, or you won't have any left at Christmas time. Or they'll eat them before they get liquefied in the middle. Sure, like my kids, every time they come through the kitchen, they'll take a few. I get those big candy cans, and I start making candy usually about this time of year. By Thanksgiving, I have the cherries made, and then I make all the others. I make about 10 different kinds, and then I put them in candy cans for storage, and then I take a day, and then that's when I box them for gifts. I either box them to ship. Sometimes I ship them out to friends or family, or I have them here. And usually now I buy those boxes at Hobby Lobby that have the clear top on them, and you can see what you're getting. Used to be, we had boxes back then more than cans, and you could buy the boxes that were open. On the top had a cellophane top. But now, too, I'll tell you one of the things that makes a nice gift to put about a pound of candy in is those little Chinese takeout boxes. And you can get those at Hobby Lobby, or I think Dollar Tree might even have them at Christmas time. Those make a neat little gift. Say you want to give them, sometimes I would make them for church and take them to the elderly to church, and I might fill 25, 30 boxes. So I wouldn't fill, big cans to do that many. And I get those little boxes and fill those and decorate them on the outside. Take you some curly ribbon and stuff and put a bow on them and a tag. I'd print out tags, homemade, by my husband and I. And he would help me. Daryl would help me make candy. Sometimes my girls like to do it. Morgan loves to make peanut butter balls. She makes peanut butter balls all the time. Some people call them Buckeyes. I've always called them peanut butter balls. We'll probably do those next week along with a couple others. But today we're going to do these and peppermint patties. Okay. just when you put them on your paper, just kind of spread them out together. I'll show you here, see where you can see my paper here. See right down here on my paper, you can't hardly see that. Yeah, here they are, it's way down low. You can see what I've got them laying there. Use wax paper to set them on, and then when I dip them, I'll put them back on wax paper to dry. Now sometimes the cherries, when you get cherries out of that jar, some of them are in pieces, and so you can still use them. You just have to be careful putting them together. You can still put them in a piece of the dough. Okay. I've got 18 done so far. 18, I'm going to do a couple more. Now your dough will keep for a long time. You can put it in a Ziploc bag or put it in a container with a lid on it. You don't want to just set it in the refrigerator uncovered, so you want to cover it. Put it down in a Ziploc bag and then put it in something, put it in the refrigerator. No cream cheese in the peanut butter candy. No. Thanks, Becky, for answering my questions for me. I'm sorry, girls. I'm having a hard time. I have a hard time looking at your questions. No, the peanut butter is just margarine, butter, and I find that margarine does better than butter. I cook with butter, but when I make these, I use margarine. It sets up better. Peanut butter is just margarine and powdered sugar and peanut butter. Okay. See, the classes won't take very long. If we get to, we're going to got to split them into different kinds. So if you make cherries this week, be sure and show us what you're making. Put them on here and let everybody see what you're making. We've got a lot. We've got a lot on here, but we had over 50 to sign up, so we've got a lot of them to watch the replay. Sometimes people work and stuff. They can't always get in here at the time we are. I will go back, girls, when you're done. When I'm done, I'll read every one of your comments and I'll answer all your questions. Okay? Those of you that are new in here, Becky is my niece, my husband's niece, and she's made candy for as long as I've been was in the candy business many, many years ago. They've made it. Her mom and them's made it too. Okay. When I had my business, we did candy classes 2 or 3 a week from the September. We'd start in September and all the way through to Easter. In the shop, we'd do candy classes 2 or 3 days a week. And then back then you couldn't get like hollow Easter bunnies and stuff, so we made all that stuff too. We used molds and made suckers for kids with sucker molds and made Easter bunnies, hollow Easter bunnies, and all kinds of different stuff. I've got some molds. I'm going to show you how to use them in one of the classes. But today you can buy a lot of that already made, so back then we couldn't buy all that. My mom used to be in business too when I was in business, and I would help her make candy for business people she dealt with, companies, and we do like 30-40 pound of candy, and she would take it to places where she done business in the South, when she would go buy merchandise and stuff. And every year they'd tell Miss Godfrey, be sure you don't forget our candy this year. Okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got 20. I've got 20 made now here in that. Okay, now I'm going to wash my hands and start on another one and show you another one. We're going to put together some of this for peppermint patties. I'm just going to put that over there to the side. Let me wash my hands real quick. going to look real quick now and see if there's any questions here I need to answer before we go on. I'll enjoy. Oh, that's good, Paula. I'm glad. Hey, Phyllis, how are you? Mixture. Do you use the same mixture when you're making? No, peanut butter is made with, you'll see each one has a different. Okay. Okay, we're going to go right on with this. Now, when you make peanut butter, when you make anything peppermint, you have to keep that peppermint candy away from your other candies because peppermint bleeds. So if you're going to make peppermint with this, I'm going to take some of this mixture. Like I said, you can use this mixture for lots of different things. And I'm going to put a little more powdered sugar in it to dry it out just a little bit. But when I make peppermint patties, I form them like a peppermint patty, like the ones you buy in the store. And then if you're going to put them in a box of mixed candies, if you're going to give them as a gift, and you're going to mix those candies in there, you want to wrap your peppermint patties with foils. And we've got the foil wrappers here. I'll show you these. I always wrap my cherries too, because cherries, I'm going to show you when we dip those, they leak on the bottom if you don't get them sealed good. These, I think this packet I bought from Amazon, and it's got all different colors of the foil wrappers in it. But when I make peppermint patties, I will always roll them, pack them in a foil so that they don't bleed over into your other candies when you are mixing them in a box of candies. So I'm going to take this same mixture that I just made. I'm just going to make a few for today. So, and I've just put a little more sugar in it. Put me out a little more powdered sugar here. And I always dip these in dark chocolate. My milk chocolate, I bought in the 5-pound, bought in 5-pound bags. And this is my milk chocolate. And I put the brand is on there. It comes in a big bag like this, because usually this come from my sister's store in West Virginia. But now these little bags come from Hobby Lobby. And in a pinch, I will use their candies. It's not as good as the brand that I buy. But if I just need a little bit, or I have something I can't get, I will buy those at Hobby Lobby. They don't harden up. That candy don't harden up as good as what I like with the others. But it's okay, you know, you'll be okay to use it, okay? Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my peppermint oil. I've got a jar here that I've had for a while. And I'm going to put some drops of peppermint oil right in this dough. Now, peppermint is stronger, you know, when you first put it in there and you do it to taste, you don't want it to, you want to think about it, because as it sets, it's going to get a little bit stronger. So you put it in just a few drops at a time. Put this oil in your dough. When I make maple nut, I put the maple in my dough. Now this oil flavoring I've had for a while. I'm going to throw that and the rest of that away. And I'm going to open this little one, because that one's kind of yellowed looking. But just use a few drops at a time in there. Then I'm just going to roll it in my dough. Take my dough and just kind of squeeze it and go till it's got to get in. Now, when you do this, taste what you got. Taste your mixture as you go along, and add your dough till you get a mixture of taste that you like. But remember, it's going to get a little stronger as it ages. So the strongness you have here it's going to be a little more, you know, when they've aged a few days. Okay, see, I can smell that. I can smell the peppermint in that, you know, and it's good. This is good because it makes so many different kinds of taste. You're okay, Terry. You can go back and watch the replay. We've just made the cherries, though. We're making peppermint patties right now. Okay, the dough is cream cheese and powdered sugar. Okay, now I can smell it real strong on there. Just smell that dough or taste it. You know, take a little bit and taste it a little bit. I think that's going to be all right, so I'm not going to taste it right now. Just keep your sugar candy and keep a little bit out so that you know, to put on your hands and that. Now I'm going to take a little ball of this. This is all you have to put is the dough and the peppermint in this one. Take a little ball, roll it in a ball, and right in the palm of my hand, where the sink is in the palm of my hand, I'm going to lay it right in the palm of my hand and take my other hand and flatten it. That will flatten the middle and leave the edges kind of thick. See how it makes that pretty little, just like you see peppermint patties in the store. It just pats out a little bit when you just pat the middle. Now, if you laid it on the table and flattened it out, it would be flat all the way around, but you want a little bit of dimension to it, a little size. So I'm going to lay that over on the paper by itself. Like I said, it's going to crust up a little bit as it sits there. You can make them as small or as big as you want them. But if you're going to wrap them in these little wrappers, see these little squares are probably 3.5 by 4.5 or something like that. So you don't want to get them too big because you want to be able to wrap them. So I put it in my hand, take the palm of my hand and just press down right in the palm of my hand. And then I'm going to lay it over to dry a little bit. And when we start dipping them, we'll put those in dark chocolate. You could put them in any flavor you wanted. Okay? This makes one kind of peppermint. I'll show you in another class how to make. When you're in a nice restaurant and you get up to leave after you pay your bill, used to be, I don't know if they still do it or not, it's been a long time. But used to be they'd have a little mint thing sitting at the register of mints, and they called them French mints. Well, that's what these are. They're French mints. So I'll just press that down. So make as many as you want with this. Put it in there and press it down. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 there. Now in this same mixture, you can make orange creams. You can make lemon creams. If you're like me, when somebody buys me a box of candy or they bring a box of candy home from the store, I like to pinch the bottom of them before I get into them so I know what I'm eating. A lot of the cream centers I'm not fond of. But if you have somebody who likes lemon or who likes orange creams, then that's what you're going to do with the next ones. Okay, we'll press this down. Okay. Where's that? Vicky's part. Yeah, Vicky's is where Vicky's is a party store is in Milton, West Virginia, girls. And if you happen to not be able to get chocolate, I think she has a website. And she's who I bought from. I was her second wholesale customer in 1977. She started in business, and I was the second customer she had in the wholesale business. When I started, she's who I worked with. And I bought all my candy supplies from her. It's called Vicky's Candy Craft. And at the time, she was in Huntington, West Virginia. And she still has a store there. And my sister still purchases from her wholesale. So she does have all the candy supplies that you would want. But I don't know what she has on her website. But she will ship to you. My milk chocolate, I picked it up this time when I was in West Virginia. I went ahead and got it at the store from my sister, but I buy it on Amazon. I don't know of any place around here in our area that sells this brand, and this is my favorite brand, and it comes in all different colors. Okay, so now I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 11 of the peppermint patties. Okay. Now, I'm going to put me out another piece of wax paper over here, and I'm going to do some with the lemon. As soon as I find my paper, I'm going to show you with the lemon. I've got lemon oils, and I've got, I have to keep them separated because you'll forget what the taste is. So you need to, when you're working on your counter, separate your sheets of what you're putting them on and working, because you're making, they're all going to look alike. They're all going to look like your cherries. So you want to separate them, and then you'll know what, when you get ready to dip them, what you're dipping. Okay, so I'm going to take just a little bit of this same mixture, patty it out again, put me a little more powdered sugar in it. Now this time, if you wanted to color this inside orange, if it's going to be orange creams, you could color it orange if you wanted to. You use a little bit of orange food coloring. I don't usually color it. Nose is itching. I'm going to get me some orange. Okay, this is the one in the orange flavoring. These I haven't opened. Let's see if I can get this one open without much trouble. But I will dip it in orange candy. Okay. Add the cream. You could, Mary, you can make them raspberry. You can make them any flavor you want. And you can put cherries in them. You can put nuts in them. You can put coconut in it. You can put anything in this mixture that you want to. When I make maple nut, I put maple flavoring and English walnuts in it. And when I make cherry nut, I put chopped cherries and a little bit of cherry flavoring and nuts in it and make it. This one is orange, and I'm going to put a few drops of orange in that. Okay, just a drop or two. Like I said, taste it. If you want to taste the dough, then, you know, put it in there and then taste it. But when I dip this one, I'll dip it in orange chocolate. And the chocolate, the colors of chocolate don't change the flavors. Vanilla, white chocolate, and orange chocolate will taste the same when you go to eat them on your candies. So you don't, it doesn't matter what, you know, what the chocolate flavor. Now you can get some in butterscotch flavor. Used to be. I don't think they make the butterscotch anymore. I'm going to smell that. Okay, that smells just like the orange. I'm going to put just a tad more. So if you have somebody that likes orange, then put the orange flavoring in there. And if you wanted to put something else in there with it, nuts or whatever you want to put in it, you can do that. Just put your flavoring in there, and then and just work it in until you get a good flavor. So you can smell all this. Now I'm smelling orange. Okay. You take any kind of flavoring, those flavorings, Lorraine flavorings. If you go into, most pharmacies have these. Most drugstores, pharmacies have these flavorings. You can go in there and they'll have 30, 40 different kinds of, you know, different flavors. So anything that you like, then buy that old flavoring and put it in your, you know, put it in your candy. Now this time I'm going to roll them in small little balls. But like I said, when I get ready to dip them, I'm going to dip them in orange chocolate. And then I'm going to make the lemon ones, and I'm going to dip them in lemon chocolate, in the yellow chocolate. Okay? Just make them, I'm just rolling them up to make them bite size. If you wanted to color these yellow, then put a little bit of food coloring in that yellow, in that dough. I'm just rolling them. If it gets to stick into your hands, roll them in the powdered sugar a little bit. So we're using this same stuff, and right now we're making 4 different flavors using this same dough. Later we'll make the cherry nut and the walnut, the maple nut, because those you have to chop your nuts and stuff up in, so we'll make those in a different class. I like to make those at Easter times. You can mold Easter eggs. You know how you can buy the Easter eggs? I like to make those kind in Easter time. Okay, now I'm going to take me another piece, and this time I'm going to put lemon in it. Still using the sugar to get it mixed up good. Becky, they're not making the butterscotch anymore. I asked Sheila this week, I always like to use the butterscotch on peanut butter. It made a smoothie, but they're not making it anymore. This company's not making it anymore. I don't know if you can buy it from another company or not. Okay, this time I'm going to go with the lemon. Same way, got the lemon flavoring. I should have opened these before I started. So you got the little plastic wraps around them. Okay, I'm going to have to get me a knife to open that one, girl. Okay, now this one's lemon. And again, if you wanted to color it lemon colored, put your little yellow food coloring in there. Put the lid on that or I'll knock it over. Always keep your powdered sugar out there handy to use it. Hobby Lobby sells Lorraine flavorings. They don't have a big variety. They don't have, my Hobby Lobby only had 6 or 8 varieties of the oil flavorings. Now they had some regular flavorings, but I've never put the regular. You could probably use those, you just have to use more of it. The oil flavorings are so strong. Boy, I can smell this one. Ooh. That one is lemony. I'm not a big fan of the cream centers. I make them because other people like them, but I'm not a big fan of them. And this one will go in yellow. Will go in yellow chocolate. And I'm going to go ahead and roll it in balls because they're going to be in different colors of chocolate. I can do that. If I was going to put these in milk chocolate, then I would form them. I might take a ball like this and then flatten it a little bit and make a little square out of it. Go like this. And make that little candy into a cube. Then when I dipped them, they would be a different shape. See how I got a little cube there? They would be a different shape, and you would know what kind of candy that is by the shape it is. If you want to dip them in chocolate, because you can dip any of these in the milk chocolate also, if that's what you wanted them in. You can put them in the white or any of the colors or the milk chocolate, dark chocolate, whatever that you choose, whatever you like. Now my cherries over here, see these are my first ones and they're crusted up. They're kind of hard now. They're ready to be dipped because they're hard. I can do that. I'd have to really squeeze it now to break it. It gets kind of a crust on it. And that's when they're ready to dip. Okay. So I'm making 8 or 10 of each one. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. I've got 10 of these in the lemon. Okay. Now, I'm done with the powdered sugar. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I'm just going to put that in my bowl there. And I'm ready to start melting some chocolate to form them in. I'm going to wash my hands again. And I'm going to get me some bowls while I'm over here, some little bowls, because I won't need much of that yellow or the orange color. Okay. Now I'm going to start and dip the cherries first. And I've got chocolate out here, but I don't need this much chocolate. Your chocolate is never wasted, girls. When you get done, when you dip and you have chocolate left in your bowl, scrape that chocolate out onto a piece of wax paper and let it harden, and you can melt it over and over and over. You melt it right down again. It never wastes your chocolate. Okay? Now, the important thing, this is the dip spoon I've had for, this is what I've had for years. I've had these for years and years. I should have put an apron on. I've got powdered sugar all over me. They are no longer available, but Hobby Lobby has one like this. You get this package at Hobby Lobby, and they were just $1.99, and then you get 40% off, or they're half price all the time. It's got one of these dip spoons in it. It's not as long as the stick on mine, but these I've had, and they're no longer, Sheila told me this week, they no longer make these big long ones, so you can't buy these, but you can, you can use them. Now, when you melt your chocolate, you got to be careful with your chocolate because you don't want to get it too hot. So what you want to do is you melt it by the seconds. I'm going to start. Man, I've got it all over me. I'm going to put this chocolate in there. I don't have very much, maybe a half a pound is all I've got in there. And I'm going to put it in my microwave about 30 seconds. Then I'm going to take it out and stir it, and I'm going to put it back in for about 10 seconds at a time. If you get it too hot, you've ruined it. So be careful when you're doing, everybody's microwave is different of how you cook. So be careful. It's better to do it a little bit at a time until you learn what your microwave will do. Usually if I've got a pound in there or quite a bit, I'll put it on a minute. But I don't have very much in here. So I'm going to do it about 30 seconds at a time over here in my microwave. Okay. You just want to melt it enough to get it melted down, but you don't want to get it too hot. Now I've put it in there for 30 seconds, and it doesn't look like it's started to melt any, but it has. If I lift my spoon up, see how it's beginning to melt down in there? So that's what, if you would leave it in there for a minute, then that would get too hot in the middle, and if you cook that chocolate, you just have to trash it, okay? So it's already started at 30 seconds, it's already started to melt. So I'm going to go back now for like 20, 30 seconds at a time, all the way down to 10 until I get it melted down. Okay, now it still looks like it's solid there, but when I stir it, see how now it's melted? Okay, so once I stir it, that'll all break down, and that is 1 minute. I've had that chocolate in there 1 minute, and it's ready to go. See, I want it, you keep stirring it, and all those little clumps in there will just melt right down for you. So that amount of chocolate took me only 1 minute to do it, but you don't want to do it 1 minute at a time. You want to do it 30 seconds at a time because your microwave heats from the middle out, and if you get it too hot in that middle, if you scorch it, if you take it out and it's scorched, then it's a goner. Okay, so now I've got it. See, it's ready to dip. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to use a clean piece of wax paper. What do I do with my wax paper? I'll use a clean piece of wax paper. I've got an audience now. Morgan just came in from school, so she's going to sit here and be my live audience. Okay, I've got a clean piece of wax paper here, And I'm going to use my dip spoon, and I'm just going to take my cherry. You want to get it in and out of this chocolate as quick as you can. Don't drop it down in there and just let it sit and sit. So just to begin with, just put it on your dip spoon. Take it down around the inside edge in here and just roll it real quick and real quickly. Get it up out of there. Then just turn your spoon upside down and drop it on your paper. If you drop a bunch of them in there at one time, you'll get way too much chocolate on them. Okay, drop it. Put it right on my spoon, go down in the edge of that chocolate, around the edge here, and turn it 2 or 3 times till I got chocolate all the way around, and bring it right back out. This just takes a little experience to get it in there, okay? You can dip them in no time flat. See if I can turn you a little here so you can see where I'm putting them down. See, I'm dipping them here. And then I'm bringing them right over here on a clean piece of wax paper and laying them right back down. That little dip spoon is a lifesaver. You can do them with a regular spoon, but it's a pain in the butt to fool with. So the best tool I have is a dip spoon.
Your audience is leaving now.
Okay. Here we go. You can dip them in no time. Just drop them in there. When I get ready to dip, I make a whole bunch of candies at one time. Then I'll dip them, you know, clean off my table and spread my wax paper all over the place. And then I'll start dipping. And I'll dip a whole lot at one time. Rather than make one and dip that one, I just wait till I get them all made that I'm making that day. Now see, they're already beginning to set up. These down here are already beginning to harden. Now, for some reasons, when we make cherries, I don't know why the reason is, but they don't seal on the bottom when you first dip them. So they have to be double dipped on the very bottom. I'll show you that in a minute. But I'm going to let these sit here and dry a little bit. And I'm not going to pour my excess chocolate out to do that until I get that bottom dipped again. But we got to wait for them to dry before we dip those again. For some reason they do that, and if you don't seal that bottom, they'll leak on you. When you make them, then they'll leak. Now I've got a little bit of chocolate left, and ordinarily I would just pour that out on a piece of clean wax paper, let it harden back up, and then use it again. I'm going to set it right over here, and I'm going to take this little bowl here, and I'm going to put I've got these Peppermint Patties, and I'm going to put a little bit of this dark chocolate in there. And melt this for the Peppermint Patties. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm just using a microwave bowl, and I'm going to go back over to my microwave and do the same thing I did before. Just start with a few seconds at a time because I don't have very much chocolate in there. Okay. I got it the first 30 seconds, then I'm going to stir it. Now this chocolate, like I said, coming from Hobby Lobby is a little bit different than the chocolate that I like. So it takes a little bit longer. Why, I don't know. It takes me a little bit longer to melt it. Melt out, just hit your button for, 25, 30 seconds, and then stop and stir it a little bit, and just keep doing that until you get it melted down. Okay, see, this one's kind of thick. I've done a minute. I'm still going to have to go just a little bit more on that one. When I first started years ago, we had to melt chocolate with a double broiler, and that was a pain. We didn't have microwaves then. Okay, now I've got this dark. Now another thing, if you're making candy today and you're going to quit for the night and you're going to make candy tomorrow, throw you a piece of saran wrap over these chocolates and just leave them in the bowl. You don't have to pour them out, you just leave them in the bowl, and then they're ready to melt again. Now this one, this is the dark chocolate, and it's melting. And this is one that came from Hobby Lobby, okay? But it's a little bit thicker than this one that's the other kind. So I'm going to drop this peppermint patty. It's a little more tedious to dip because you got to flip it over. So I'm going to drop it in there, flip it a couple times, then I'm going to lay it right back out here on my paper to set up. They're a little bit harder. The bigger they are, a little bit harder to dip in there to get them covered. If you're making a kind of candy and making it out of milk chocolate, and it's a different kind and you want to know what flavor it is, then after it hardens up, take a little bit of a different color. Take a little bit of white and drizzle it over the top of that, and then you'll remember what kind of, what kind that was. I see that one, I got that one kind of messy. I'll need a little bit more chocolate on top of that one. These peppermint patties, I probably would leave them to set up and harden a little bit more before dipping them because they're bigger. Just remember to wrap these when you put them in a candy box. This chocolate doesn't melt down as good and thin as the other brand of chocolate. The cherries liquefy because of the cherry juice. I'm hungry for candy. Well, you'll have to just light in and make you some. That's the thing, making it now and trying to keep it for Christmas is very hard to do. And it's simple. Like I said, my girls, Morgan makes peanut butter candies all the time, and she's made other kinds too, so it's not hard to do. Okay. Now, I've got those made. See if I can show you. Yeah, you can see them right down here on the bottom of the thing. Now, this chocolate I won't be using for a while, so I'm going to take me a little piece of wax paper, and I'm going to put the rest of that out on a piece of wax paper and just put it right back down in my bag when it dries. Just take you a piece of paper and spoon it right out of there. That way you don't waste, because your chocolate's your most expensive thing you're buying when you're making candies. And I always rinse these bowls out real good, because that chocolate might go down. If you're making a whole lot, it's not really good for your sink drain. So you might want to put some hot water in it and thin it down good, and then dump it outside or something if you're doing a whole lot. Clean your bowl out as good as you can, or either take a piece of paper towel and wipe that out, till you get the majority of it out of that bowl, because that stuff will possibly harden in your sink. Okay, so we've got the cherries, and we've got peppermint patties. I gotta find a place over here to stick this candy. Get it out of the way. Now I'm gonna show you these cherries again, what they've done. They're all hardened and ready to go again. When I pick this first one up in my hand, see, you can see that little white spot on the bottom? That little white spot, you want to very lightly dip again. Just hit that bottom again and set it right back down. I need to let those sit just another minute till they get a little more down. Now I'm going to get out some, I'm going to do that. This is the Americans in the orange, and she already had this in because of Halloween. So I was able to get some orange from her. And I'm going to melt a little bit of orange now to put on those orange creams. And this, all these colors, the orange and the white and the others, all colors, they taste about the same. They're kind of vanilla flavored. Okay, and I don't need very much of that. And I'm going to wash my dip spoon, but be sure that you dry that spoon real good. You don't want to get water in this chocolate. You don't want to get anything in it. So I'm going, while I'm melting this, I'm going to wash this chocolate spoon so I can use it again. And I'm going to dry it real good, because I don't want any drop of water to get in my chocolate. That little dip spoon from Hobby Lobby just broke when I washed it. That's the first time I've used it, and it popped right open. Don't like that. It should not have broke. Those others I've had for 20 years or longer. Go on, cat. Go on. Okay, I'm just stirring that to get it melted down good. This is the orange one. When I buy chocolates for Candies Girls, I don't buy it till October, because it doesn't keep good after Easter. When the humidity outside raises, when you get humid in the summertime, it doesn't bother the flavor of the chocolate, but it won't melt down for you. So I try to figure out what I'm going to be using, and that's what I buy to make things. I've made divinity a few times, but I'm not crazy about it, and I don't fool with it. Got to make sure I got the right one. This is the orange one, and this is my orange chocolate. See, my sister makes divinity, but divinity's a pain in the butt to me, and I'm not crazy about eating it, so I don't fool with it. I do make fudges of all different kinds. I like chocolate fudge, peanut butter, maple nut, different kinds of fudge. I always make fudge, but I don't make divinity. See, this chocolate is just so much prettier than the one you buy. And those orange creams, now you know they're orange. And they will get stronger in a few days. If you eat them right now, they won't be as strong as they will inside with a few days of sitting. So I'd make them a few days and then put them away and then try them in a couple of days. See, these are dipping very, very pretty. They're dipping. The recipes will be here and the videos will be here for you for the next 6-8 months or so. Maybe even longer than that. It's just according to how things go of what, because I used this same page last year to do Christmas ornaments on. Okay, now I've got those dipped, and again I'm going to take a little bit of wax paper and dump that chocolate out so I don't waste it. When I go home this weekend, I'm going back home to West Virginia this weekend, I will get some other chocolates, some dark chocolate and some colors from Sheila and the Americans. Usually during a season, I will use, I buy it in 10-pound bags when I buy it in Hobby Lobby, but I'll use about 10 to 15 pound. In a full season, you know, through a Christmas season, I'll use 10 or 15 pound of milk chocolate to get everything made. But I do make a lot, and you know, I make turtles. We're gonna make turtles. We'll make those with coconut bonbons and all that. Okay, I got one more to do, and that's the lemon. And I gotta get me some yellow chocolate to make that lemon with. And this one again come from Hobby Lobby. Okay. But I like the other brand. You get me a little bowl to put this one in. I like the other brand better than these that come from Hobby Lobby. Okay, I'm going to dump this one now. And this time my orange spoon, I'm just going to wipe it off. I'm not going to fool with washing it again because that won't. The orange and the yellow mix okay. That chocolate and the colors don't mix very good. My cat's in here meowing at my feet. See, this one doesn't melt. Like I said, they don't, the ones from Hobby Lobby not going to melt down like your other do. I only use that when I can't get anything else. We do have an Amish store here called Yoder's, and they carry this chocolate, but they're about 40 miles from me, so rather than do that, I just picked up some at Hobby Lobby, and that one doesn't seem to want to melt very good. If you get some chocolate from Hobby Lobby and it don't melt good, take it back to them. Because sometimes you'll get old chocolate. This one's already took me a minute and a half and it's still not melted good. Some people put chocolate in the freezer and have pretty good luck with that. But I don't usually fool with that. I try to just buy what I'm going to use. But now see, these from Hobby Lobby don't melt nothing like as good as the others did. But I'm going to use this one. This is my yellow one. It's got the lemons in it. It's a pretty color though. When you go to Hobby Lobby to buy a chocolate, I don't buy chocolate in the summertime hardly, because if you get some and it really won't melt down on you, then I just take it right back and tell them. Because it's, you know, sometimes you'll buy chocolate somewhere and it's old chocolate and it won't melt. See, this one's not melting very good. Makes it, when it's thick like that, it's harder to dip. Makes it a whole lot harder to dip in there when the chocolate's thick. I'm having to roll it around and around and around in there to get that. Okay. Now I'm going to turn the camera here to show you. See over here I've got the orange and the yellow, and these are the peppermint patties, and then I've got the cherries. Now I'm going to go back to these cherries. And my chocolate, I had enough chocolate here till it's still not hardened in the middle, so I've got it melted enough to dip that bottom in again. Just pick up that cherry and just touch the bottom of it again. And then you set it right back down on the same spot. You can set it right back down on the bottom. I have no idea why it does that. But if you don't seal that bottom, when they start to liquefy, they will leak. And almost always I put these in. Now see, that one's got a little weak spot on the side. I'm just going to go up there and make sure that I coat that side again. Next week we'll probably do the peanut butter stuff. You can just leave these, I'll just leave these sit out here on the counter for a few hours and let them set up, and then I'll just get me a candy can. And usually when I put them in a can, I put a paper towel or a napkin in the bottom of the can, and then I just put them in a can of storage or a plastic storage container, whatever you want to store them in. And then watch your cherries and you check them, and you'll see in about 10 days, 7 to 10 days, you'll bite into them and they'll be just as liquidy inside as they're great. They're wonderful. Okay, now I can melt that right down again, or if I was going to use this tomorrow, I'd just throw a plastic wrap over that and leave it till later and not even take it out. Now anytime you've got chocolate left in there, these are chocolate molds. See, this is a candy bar mold. And what I would normally do with the chocolate that's left in here when I'm making bars, I would just mix some. I don't have any Rice Krispies, or I'd show you. I just have this melted down good, stir me some Rice Krispies in it, nuts, chopped nuts, anything you want to cover with chocolate. And I would put it in these molds. Would put the Rice Krispies in there and then fill these molds with that. Now the molds do need to go in the refrigerator. When you put your candy in this one, set it in the refrigerator for 10 or 15 minutes, and then when you flip it out, they'll flip right out in a bar. Or you can just stir your Rice Krispies or nuts or whatever into that and just put it on a piece of wax paper, and you've got it, you spread out there, and then I just break that up into, into pieces. Okay. Whew, I'm out of breath. I've talked so much. Okay. Let's see if there's anything here that I need to answer for you. Add a little, no, Debbie, you can't add oil to thin it out. If you put anything in it, I'll have to check with that. I've not done that long. If oil doesn't thin it, you have to have a coconut stuff. I don't want to tell you yet because I've not done it in so long. I can't tell you what it is. Can you add coloring to white chocolate? No, you can't add coloring to your chocolate. It has to be a special kind of coloring too. If you try to put coloring in that white chocolate, it's going to get real gobby thick on you. you can't really add anything to your chocolate and, you know, and keep it thin down. We used to use it was a coconut oil, I believe it was called, but it's been so long since I've done that, I don't want to tell you that and then it not be the right thing to do your, you know, to make your chocolate thinner. So they take, yeah, all the chocolates taste the same except your milk chocolate, your dark chocolate, and if you had butterscotch, or I think they've got a peanut butter flavored one now too. Had to grab a couple out of the fridge. Okay. Cherries liquefy because of the cherry. Right. Okay. Candy classes have replay videos. Yes, you will be able to watch all these. Come right back in this group and you'll be able to watch all the replays from now till way into next year, maybe even through the whole year. Because what I can do is if somebody new wants to do this, even after this class, they can pay the $12 and come in and watch all the videos that we've put in here. So I'll probably leave it up indefinitely. You can watch them all on replay. Go back and watch them as many times. Everything I put in here will stay in here. Okay, be safer to use a double broiler. Terry, you can melt it in a double broiler if you want to, but you don't put that double broiler on the stove. What you do if you're going to melt it in that is you put you some hot water in a pan and then set your little bowl of chocolate in that hot water and then stir it. But that's a pain in the butt to me. I can do it in the microwave. You'll learn what your microwave does and how to do it in there without using a double broiler. But for years we had to do that because when I started in the 70s, we didn't have microwaves. So that was a whole thing. But we've got chocolate covered cherries, we've got lemon creams, orange creams, and peppermint patties. Now, like I said, in the peppermint patties, see if I've got one here that's set up enough to wrap. Peppermint patties, I always wrap them. So this one, see this one, it's not set up enough. The top of it is not hardened enough. But I would just turn it upside down on that paper and then put it on the other, fold it onto the back. I'll do some of them and then show them to you the next time. Okay, now I've got my mixture left, my mixture here, I've got that left. I'll just put that in a Ziploc bag until I get ready to use it again. And the same way I've got all these cherries, if I don't get them rolled this evening, I'll put them in something, probably back in the jar, the cherry jar, and let them set a few days before I go work at them again. Whew, I've talked too much. I'm out of breath. Okay, girls, I think I'm done for the day. We've been about an hour and a half. That's good. Okay, so a lot of them still will come in and watch the replays. So, but you'll see. My mom used to double broil. Yeah, you can do that if you want. If you're making a whole lot at one time and going to mix up, but I can do it real quick just going back and forth to the microwave because you could melt a bowl. I could have filled this bowl full and melted it, all at one time, but I just melted little bits because I'm working in small amounts. So you could put as much as you want in there and melt it at one time. Okay, girls, I hope I've taught you something. And like I said, I'm leaving for West Virginia tomorrow, and I won't be back till Friday, probably Friday or Saturday morning. So, and where I'm going, I don't get good cell reception or internet, so it's hard to get a hold of me. I'll check in from time to time while I'm up there, but I'm going into the mountains, and if you don't have a phone, AT&T or something, then it don't work good up there. Okay? Okay, I'm out of here. If you got any questions, or if you have anything more questions you want to ask, just shoot me a question or put it under the video here, and I'll be happy to answer for you. Okay? Okay, girls, I'm out of here. You all have a good day and a good rest of the week. Thank you, Becky.